One of my personal favorite, more advanced tactics to use with customer engagement strategies is email lead generation campaigns. With a lead generation campaign, the entire objective is to be able to grow your customer base over time, and also to then be able to reach out to that customer base at any moment that you want, and to be able to send that traffic to a specific web page. Beyond that, though, you can also use lead generation to help guide people through content on your website, to direct them along to specific product pages that they might be interested in. And these customer engagement strategies can be used to help to figure out exactly what kind of information and what kind of products your readers would actually be interested in. In order to set up a lead generation campaign within MintsApp 2.0, you first need to go to your account page. I talked about this in the very first class. Depending on what newsletter service you use, you then need to go here, select the appropriate newsletter service. For example, with GetResponse, you just need to go here and enter in your GetResponse API key. If you're not sure where to find this, they have some information here on exactly where to go and get that. So this is pretty easy and straightforward. Once you have entered in that API key, you just simply connect it up here, and then you will be set to proceed with actually creating campaigns to generate email leads. Within any poll or rating that you set up within MintsApp, you have the option of requesting to opt-in as your post-vote action. This is what you'll want to use to generate email leads in a large majority of situations. The reason why I say a large majority is because there is one other option to do this. I will discuss that in just a few moments. The reason why you want to go with this default option, though, is simply because it is easier. It requires less thought from your reader to actually complete this action. It also keeps everything right here within this little area where they have been interacting with your website. So once they answer your question or answer the poll or place their rating, then they will immediately see your opt-in page. You get to choose the image, just like you do with most of the other types of post-vote actions. You also get to set a headline and a subheadline, and then you can choose your button text and even colors and things of that nature. The important part here, though, is that you need your entire setup, your question, to lead into soliciting for the opt-in. And ultimately, you need to give the person a pretty good reason to actually want to opt in to your newsletter. People don't like just freely handing out their email for anything. They know good and well that when they hand out their email, they're probably going to end up getting some kind of marketing from it or advertising. And so people are at least somewhat cautious about what they will hand it out for. However, if you can offer them something for free that is very appealing to them, you stand a much, much better chance of being able to capture that lead. So with this whole customer engagement strategy, as long as you are setting up your question right, you can essentially present a problem that people may have to try to segment your list using these different questions. So based on whatever your niche is about, think about how you could break that niche down, or the readers that you might have, into a number of different subtopics. In regards to those subtopics, having different content that those readers might be interested in on your website, and especially different products that they would most likely be interested in purchasing. Those are the divisions with your readers that you want to make, and you want to use these questions to help you make those divisions. So find out what people are really interested in, what their situations are, what problems they may have. With this example, I can present any kind of a question that leads me to be able to identify the person as having poor sleeping habits. Then I can present them with this. Download our free guide to better sleeping habits. Just tell us where to email it. Enter your email right here. Click on the button to claim the free habits guide. Very simple, very straightforward. Only takes a person 10 or 15 seconds to really take in everything that you are presenting here, and they can make a pretty quick decision. Now, not necessarily everybody that sees this will end up entering in their email, but with something like this, as long as you have narrowed down that person responding to the vote or the poll as in fact having some kind of an issue with their sleeping habits, you will get a very high opt-in rate. Should be 50% or higher. You can likely even see 70, 80, 90% when you are targeting these questions correctly. Now with that said, these free guidebooks, they are really going to be the key to helping you to build these email lists. However, unless you already have some kind of a guide like that maybe you've purchased, that you have the rights to be able to redistribute or resell, then you're most likely going to need to create your own. That part is where this gets into being a more time-consuming tactic. You have to create your guidebook that you're going to be offering for free. Then you have to consider what you're going to have to do on the email end of it. Are you going to have some kind of automated campaign that guides people through content on your site? And or are you going to do ongoing emails to let them know about new content and things of that nature? All of that stuff requires more writing, more planning, more time involvement with this type of a tactic. So that is why I have already recommended to you, especially in the previous class, that you make sure you are more confident with getting customers to engage with your website first and really be able to see that a website has potential, that it could generate a decent number of leads. If you're not going to end up having a couple hundred leads, email leads or more that you can work with after doing this for a number of months or so, it really becomes more time-consuming to maintain the email list, to send out emails and things like that, than it is beneficial. So you do want to make sure that you have a popular website or a way to bring in a lot of traffic to something like this. You can combine this tactic with things like social media sharing that I'll be talking to you about in the next class to help to drive traffic to these engagement campaigns to help you generate those leads. But one way or another, you need to be able to generate a fair amount of traffic to these engagement campaigns so you can ultimately have a fair amount of leads to work with to make this worth your while to carry out. Now, if you don't know how to go about creating some kind of an ebook guide, it's really not that complicated, and you can actually do this 100% for free. Just go to openoffice.org and download that software. It is open source version of Microsoft Office, essentially. So you have all the features from it. You get your word processor and spreadsheet program and presentation program and all the things like that, but it doesn't cost anything. It doesn't have a couple $100 price tag to go along with it. Using the document, the word processor that is in OpenOffice, you can create simple ebooks there. They don't have to be anything fancy. You can even go out and Google to find some kind of a basic template that you could use just to give you some kind of basic design like a title page and a table of contents page and things of that nature. You just create an ebook inside of one of those Word documents, and then you can export it as a PDF file from the menu of it. Very simple to do. And once you have it created, then you can use it forever to help you generate email leads for this website, for this campaign. So you can not only use this thing one time just for this specific campaign that you're setting up at the moment, but think about ebooks that you would be able to utilize in a wide variety of different situations. My ebook guide here is not specifically geared towards any particular product. It is guide toward or centered around my niche to be a guide for a large majority of people that would even be visiting my website, period. So if I have a website about anything having to do with sleeping or bedding products, a guide to better sleeping habits would be a perfect fit. And I could use this for pretty much any email campaign, lead generation campaign that I were to set up for this website. This guide, again, is just to get them in the door, though. Once you have an email lead, you need to do more with it, or else you are just wasting your time. If you're not going to follow through with the rest of it, just go for direct promotions on Amazon affiliate links. That would be much better than building an email list that you would never end up doing anything with. The number one way that you can ensure that you make some kind of a use out of an email list and that you even see some kind of ongoing immediate benefits from it is to set up an autoresponder campaign with your newsletter service. What an autoresponder campaign is simply a series of emails that are automatically sent out to your new subscribers. You get to determine when and how often they get these emails. You get to determine exactly what the emails are, how many emails there are going to be. So you are controlling all aspects of a campaign like that. These autoresponder campaigns can be great to guide people through your website content. It can be a great way to direct people to specific product pages that are on your site, which can then lead to your Amazon sales that you're after. By using these engagement campaigns, depending on the questions that you set up and the way you're able to divide your readers into different kinds of groups, you could then have those different groups added on to separate email lists, and those separate email lists could have completely different autoresponder campaigns set up for them based on the kind of content and the kind of products that you know people are going to be more inclined to have an interest in based on their engagement that they have done on your website. Doing something like that, if you could not get a direct indication of what group to put somebody into based on the question that you ask them. Let's say you ask them a question and not every choice would put them into that group. So for example, with better sleeping habits, if I were to ask a question where every single possible choice would indicate that if somebody picked one of those choices, that they do in fact have a bad sleeping habit, that is fine. In that case, I use the request to opt-in and present this to everybody. However, if your question is not essentially a loaded question like that, to where their answer will depend on what you might try to recommend to them or how you might try to segment them, that is when I would recommend switching to the auto redirect to a URL. With this option here, you can see my two different choices that are laid out here with the images that have been used. This auto redirect post is a lot easier to use when you're doing this binary selection because there's only two choices involved. It's a lot easier to figure out here which target URL is going to go with which choice the person makes. Once you set this up, then you look at the choices they're going to make, and dependent upon that choice and how you want to group them, then you set up separate pages on your own website for them to be automatically redirected to. For a lead generation campaign, these URLs that you put here could then be separate forms that are soliciting the person to enter in their email, just like what we were doing before, except you would have to generate your code for that form through your email newsletter service. They all have a way to go in and design and generate a form. You do that, you set it up on one of these URLs, you add a little bit of text to go along with it, kind of like what we were doing within MintsApp here, where you just have a short header and a little bit of subtext to entice the person to click on it, to let them know what they're going to be getting. And that's all you have on these pages. That way, depending on what they choose, you can direct them along to sign up to a different email newsletter list. And then you can have an autoresponder campaign that is designed specifically for those groups of people. So then you feature different content that's on your website to drive additional traffic to your site. You can then also lead them into specific products to buy. A couple of recommendations on autoresponder campaigns though. Try to go a little light with your frequency that you do. You don't want to be dropping emails on them super frequently. Definitely do not do more often than once a day with an autoresponder campaign. In general though, with a lot of Amazon affiliate type of websites, you're probably not going to have more than maybe 5, possibly 10 different emails that you're going to want to send them throughout your autoresponder campaign. So you can easily end up stretching those out to a little more than or a little less frequent than once a day. Go once every other day or once every 3 days even. My other recommendation with your autoresponder campaigns is go for a helpful, informative standpoint. Think about what that free guidebook was that you were offering to them to get them to sign up for your newsletter. And then think about what else would be helpful to them in addition to the information you gave them in the guidebook. That way they can actually want to stay tuned to your email newsletters that you're sending out to get the additional pieces of information that are relevant to them. So do not look at it from a perspective of, ooh, I have people that have signed up to my email list. I want to set up these autoresponder campaigns, and every day I'm going to feature a new product to them or something like that. You will end up after a couple of emails having very low engagement with your mails that are actually sent out, and you ultimately will not really build a lot of long-term confidence with those readers that way. However, if you can start out with purely informative content, either in the email itself or directing them along to that type of content that is on your website with zero focus on advertising whatsoever, do that for a couple of emails in the beginning of your autoresponder campaign. Then gradually start to introduce a little bit of advertising to them. You could maybe the fourth or fifth time send out an email that still has that very strong, informative kind of vibe to it, but once you get down to the end of it, maybe this one is trying to present the solution to a problem that that email is centered around. And that solution to the problem could be a product. So then you forward them along or point them to a link to a product review page on your site featuring that product to then get them to click on an Amazon link that is on that page. Do not directly promote Amazon affiliate links in your email newsletter ever. It is specifically prohibited by the affiliate agreement, so that part is really important. I've said it once before in this series already, but it was important to say it yet again in the actual lead generation class that I am going through right now. In addition to your autoresponder campaigns, though, you also have what is known as a broadcast that you can do in an email newsletter service. A broadcast is where you are setting up one email that is then going to get sent out to everybody that is on your newsletter list. If needed, you can exclude some of your newest members from those broadcasts. So you could only choose to send it to people that have been signed up for at least the last 2 weeks or at least the last month. However long your autoresponder campaign runs for, I recommend avoiding sending broadcasts to those same subscribers during that same time period. Beyond that, though, the whole point of these ongoing broadcasts is to let your readers know about new content, and it can even be used to let them know about time-sensitive Amazon deals. All throughout the year, Amazon has their daily deals. You can go into the Amazon website and look at their deals section. They have the gold box deals, the daily deals. Around the holidays, they run tons of Black Friday promotions, Cyber Monday promotions, all of these lightning deals and stuff. I believe they're now even still running lightning deals simply year-round because it's something that started as a Black Friday thing, and it was simply so popular they thought, hey, why don't we do this throughout the year? Well, as an affiliate, you can't really take advantage of those time-sensitive deals on Amazon unless you have a way to access a large number of people in a short period of time. That's when it can then become beneficial for you to start paying attention to those time-sensitive deals. You keep an eye out for a time-sensitive deal that is a direct relation to what your email newsletter is about, especially what that group of people on that newsletter is focused on. You set up a page on your own website that is a review page of that product. You then have your affiliate link on that page of your website, and then for your newsletter, you set up a broadcast that includes some text to talk about what it is. You want to focus on the highly time-sensitive nature of it, or if it's one of those lightning deals where they're limited quantities, focus on that part of it too. Talk about how this is not going to be available for very long. The quantities are going quick, the time is running out, things of that nature. You're pressing on those urgency points with those emails to try to get people to hurry up, move along to that page on your site, to then move along to Amazon to look at the product, and finally to make a decision on purchasing it. Doing something like that, as long as you can have access to a lot of people in an instant, which you can do with an email newsletter list, then you can actually take major advantage of those time-sensitive deals. Even if you were not to focus on those, though, you could still let your readers know about new content that was going to be coming out on your website. You just published a new page, you maybe are featuring a new product or something, send them an email, let them know about the new content that's available on your website. Doing simple things like this can increase the amount of traffic you have on your site. It can also dramatically increase your Amazon sales when you are approaching this correctly. But again, the biggest thing that I can stress before you decide, hey, I'm going to dive into doing this whole email newsletter thing with one of my Amazon sites is, can you generate enough leads for it to make it worth your while? How much traffic do you currently have on the website every day? If you're not getting 100 visitors a day on your website or more, and you don't want to have to look elsewhere for sources of traffic, such as running paid Facebook ads, then I would highly recommend just considering going for more of a direct Amazon product promotion type of strategy instead of doing the lead generation. But if you do feel like the traffic is there, if you do feel like you have some good ideas about how to bring people onto your newsletter, about some kind of a free guide that you could offer them to entice them to join you, and then also the willingness to keep up with it in the future, to monitor Amazon for time-sensitive deals, and then to actually go and set up a page on your website at a moment's notice and get an email promotion out for it within a matter of an hour or two. If you're not prepared to do that kind of stuff, again, it may be worth your while to just go for a straight Amazon product promotion with these customer engagement strategies. But if you do feel like you're ready to put in that time and effort and you feel like the traffic and the audience is going to be there, this lead generation stuff can really knock it out of the park. It is above and beyond more powerful than anything you can possibly just set up on a website standing by itself. So if you are in the situation to do it, I would definitely recommend for you to go for it.